What are we going to do as a church? Our souls need to wake up. We need to respond to the gospel of Jesus. He said, go into the world.
We don't want to deal with reality, Christian. We don't even want to deal with reality, even though we've been saved from this place.
I'm calling on you today in the name of Jesus to rise up to the call of God. Christ is coming back soon.
If I start telling people about hell, I might just scare them off. Where are you going to scare them off to? Hell number 2? People stop and think about it. If hell really exists, and it does, I didn't say that Jesus did, then don't you think people need to know about it? Can't you at least give them a fighting chance? Or are you just going to sit there and let them burn?
Hey, this is Chris from Don't Let Them Burn. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining the show tonight. You can reach us on www.don'tletthemburn.com. You can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You check out our YouTube for our past shows with more information added, like news sources and video clips. Tonight, we have controversial stuff. We're talking about fake news tonight and the global conspiracy. I'm waiting on my brother Rory to call in. But in the meantime, you know, people out there, you need to ask yourself questions. You know, what is going on in this world? Why is there so much confusion? You know, we talk about fake news, and yet a lot of these, media companies that are owned by corporations, global elite, are putting out fake news themselves. And so we have an attack on free speech. It's not just in America. You know, certain countries don't even let news come in. They have certain filters. Places like China, they heavily censor what's coming in, even though some things get in, but they really heavily censor it. And so the buzzword for fake news used to be conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorists. That was, not necessarily made up, but that was put out there, just like how fake news is being put out there to silence or give you disinformation about people that are actually telling the truth. Some people I think you shouldn't listen to. They have no credibility at all. But at the same time, there are people that are not, the major alphabet companies, CBS and whoever else, that are actually putting out really great information. And in this day and age where we have the internet, there's some great information out there that I think everybody should pay attention to. And these are the times that we're living in. Hey, Rory, how you doing? Rory, you there? Can't hear you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I was just explaining to people the times that the times we live in, and how conspiracy theory used to be the word that they use for people that aren't, CBS, NBC, and whoever else, right? And so now the buzzword is fake news.
Right.
So
this is the new. This is what the media has come up with.
Correct.
Because of the things because of the things that are happened, and I don't know where you were before. I just got on, but I don't think people really understand what just transpired in the election that we just had, where you had pretty much the entire world that was against Donald Trump. And there are things, first and foremost, there are things that I don't like about President-elect Trump. But at the same time, this was the first time in history, or let me put it another way. The first time in my lifetime that I've ever seen the media go after a candidate the way they did this gentleman.
Right.
And it was different and it was biased. In times past, the news would be given to you. The news would be told, and you would be the person to interpret the news. Today, we have transitioned to a new phase. And this new phase is unlike anything we've ever experienced. The phase is they're telling us what we are to think. They're telling us what we are to do. And you know, I don't know where you are, but that's where I am, and that's how I have seen things unfold today. That's and we're not just talking about the news outlets, the mainstream media. We're talking about others also, because of the points that they have spun for so long. Other people started to believe it. They started to regurgitate the same things that they heard in the news media. And they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, coming back from, you know, the old days, you had bad media then too, but it was more balanced. And, or I should say bad news. And, you had disinformation going on too, CIA funneling in news, controlling certain narratives and stuff like that. But today, it's more one-sided than ever, especially with the presidential election going on, because the movement was towards globalism, towards gaining control of a lot of things, and immigration that wasn't going to basically, benefit us. Destabilization of the world, or the lifestyle that we know, the country that we know and grew up with. It was going to destabilize that. And so now that the plans have been somewhat thwarted, we see the propaganda start. I mean, starting off with the conspiracy about Russia and how Russia hacked the DNC when that was false.
Absolutely.
How Russia possibly hacked the election when that was false. And we have articles to prove that too. But this is all, you see, we have to think kind of like out of the scope of America and just think globally. Because if we just think about America, we kind of pigeonhole ourselves into not seeing the bigger picture. In the future, there's going to be a global government. And this global government will have a leader surrounding himself with 10 kings.
Yep.
Right? 10 kings that control 10, I don't want to say 10 countries, but let me just say 10 sections of the planet, 10 regions, yeah. And so if this is going to come about, which it is, it talks about it in the Bible, then there must be a plan towards this global government. It's just common sense, right? And so that's the bigger picture. That is what the United Nations and all these different conglomerates, we could start naming them, but it's so many. They all have their own agendas, but ultimately it's about bringing the one world government in play. That is the global conspiracy. And remember, people, a conspiracy is when 3 people get together and plan something evil. Okay? So if it was 1 or 2 people, hey, no one would care. But 3 or more people, it becomes a conspiracy. Okay, and
Yeah.
we are us on this don't let them burn. We don't even subscribe to the term conspiracy theorists. We don't even like the term, but that's what's out there. And we try to get as much information as we can in different categories to show you what's really going on. And trust me, all the shows that we've done, we haven't even hit the bottom yet. Nowhere close. We're at the tip of the tip of the tip. We're actually hovering over the iceberg. But some things are so disturbing, it's hard to go there. So, without further ado, I guess, Rory, what's your first story?
Well, before I go to the story, I would like to just talk a little bit more about what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I said it before, but I really, honestly, don't know if people see what's happening, the manipulation, mental manipulation that's happening to them today. People are being manipulated about the economy. People have been manipulated about the election. The election that just passed. One of the things that we were told, and this is our news media, our news outlet, and this will be my first story. The news outlets. Every news media or every news outlet that you watched on TV, they said, based off of all the polls that they were getting, that Mrs. Clinton was leading throughout almost the entire race by 3 to 4 points.
All right.
And this is my summation: 3 to 4 points, hands down. How could they have gotten it wrong? And this is where I want people to sit down and really assess what happened. Did they get it wrong? Or were they trying to tell people how they should vote?
Right.
And this is the question that I've watched CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, all of them. How could they have gotten it wrong? These people spend billions of dollars on getting the media, on getting the news to people. They go to the shows. They have the vans. They are interviewing people. What I found startling was that the people who went to these gatherings, when they were out there visiting different locations, you would get that's the only time you'd get good information. Because here's what happened, and I saw this myself. And you can go and look on YouTube. You can look anywhere else that you wanted to look. And you will see that the camera angles that were shown at these events, on a Trump event, it was a wider angle. You'd get wider shots. First and foremost, they wouldn't cover Trump events, but they would cover Hillary events.
Mm-hmm.
And Hillary events, if she was able to muster up enough people, you'd have the wider angles. But a lot of the different events that she had, the camera had to pan, not at a great angle or a wide angle. It would pan at a very small angle, viewing the people. At Trump rallies.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because I think you made a mistake a second ago, but the Trump footage, it was always a closed, straight on angle.
Oh yes,
They wouldn't show it, they wouldn't show the crowd.
They wouldn't show it. They wouldn't show the crowd, right?
At all. And we got a lot of footage from the internet showing the crowds, from independent
and
media.
People waiting outside. And people waiting outside.
Long 4-mile lines, all sorts of things.
Correct. Correct. I have to apologize. Yes, I was wrong in the way in which it was. Let me look. Here's what I'm trying to say. You're right. The way in which it was presented to us, it was not skewed what we were seeing, or they were skewing the information that they were supposed to be giving us. Yeah, that's wrong. Now, and that's just one. The other thing, the other information that we got. And you touched on it a while ago, and I don't know if you want to say anything about this, so I'm gonna just leave it like that, and then I want to move on to something else. Go ahead, Chris.
No. The next thing I was going to bring up really was the before the election even was on. Newsweek sent out the Madam President cover. They didn't even check or anything. They just sent it out. They obviously they're going to make 2 covers, but they sent out who they perceived was going to win. Exactly,
based off of the lies that were told. I mean,
right.
This thing was so well crafted. She should not have won. Basically, here's the thing. From what we gather, everybody was in our corner. Everyone was in our corner.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the news media and what they did, and we turned to Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former leader of the DNC, and how they railroaded Bernie Sanders. This is a gentleman who had more votes. Excuse me. But they persuaded the superdelegates to vote for him, for
right.
her. So there are a lot of different things that were going on that they were changing the information behind the scenes. And that bothers me because what we're seeing is not the truth.
Mm-hmm. And then you have a lot of the stations are straight, what you would call liberal or progressive. There's no balance there anymore. Fox has a little bit of balance, but they've just been taken over by somebody else. And so we don't know where that's going to go. But either way, most of your media, if not all, is controlled. I mean, look at the news anchors that you look at every night, whoever you are out there that are still watching that sort of junk. They have to read a teleprompter. Now, this doesn't mean that some alternative media doesn't read teleprompters. But what I'm trying to get at is most of it's scripted. They don't have a chance really to give their opinion. The opinions are left out of the way, and some people get fired for giving their opinion.
Exactly. If you don't follow the script, if you don't follow the script, you can lose your job.
Yeah, exactly.
You will lose your job. So as far as a free thinker, they don't want a free thinker. They're not looking for someone who is able to use their intellect and give the news or tell what's going on. But these news media are using fake news. Like, they're the ones that are propagating the fake news.
And
there's go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
There's one more thing that I also would like to talk about, and is the new DNC. And this lady was caught in a lie, Donna Brazil. She was caught in a lie, and it was leaked by WikiLeaks that she had turned over information to the Clinton campaign stating or giving her the questions before the debate. That was quite alarming for me that would happen, that would be done. So we find out that she worked for CNN, and this is what she did. She turned over critical information to her before the debate. And she denied it. She said she's not opening it up because there were stolen emails. Now, I understand that there are stolen emails. I understand that. But the question still remains, did you turn over critical information to the Clinton campaign? You say, but what difference does that make, or why? What's the importance about it? The importance is this, that all these things were helping to skew a person's thoughts. And that's what's really alarming to me. And for the Americans, or a lot of the Americans who didn't know what was actually going on, it was actually the alternate media and people in government that put forth a lot of the information. Or let me put it this way, critical people in government was putting forth this information to the alternate media because they knew the media would not put it on. It would not air. And that's how we got this information out.
Yeah.
Very credible sources talked about this. So when we, Chris, again, when we say fake news, we have to say how much of it is fake. And we're going to touch on the Podesta email, and we're going to look at that and Pizzagate, so to speak, and is it fake? What's going on? What's happening? Listen, for me as an American, seeing all of these things going forth as fake news, they're trying to put a spin on it that fake news is becoming a problem. Not only that, but there are two bills that they're trying to pass to stop the alternate media that has come up, and I am not shocked, because for the first time, the government and the powers that be never knew that the alternate media was so big.
Right.
That's what got them.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about it, right? In the age that we grew up, putting out media cost you a pretty penny. To own a radio station, own it, you had to have $1 million or more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to broadcast, it's hundreds of dollars per 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds.
So, depending on the time of.
Oh yeah,
the
time of. Right. The time of day and all that stuff. But now, anyone can make news. And so what we're dealing with is a dying system that's desperate. One thing you can always find anywhere when it comes to humanity is a struggle to survive. The struggle to survive. And when your food is being taken away, in this case, their money, because so many other media companies are starting, and more and millions of people are gravitating towards these companies because they feel more confident in these companies, then you have a problem. And so I think this is one of the things going on where we have what they call the dinosaur media, the old media that we're used to. Because everyone out there, if you hear CNN, NBC, Associated Press, BBC, all these stuff, you think credible news, right? That's what anyone thinks, because that's what we're conditioned to think. That if you don't get it from your local radio, TV station or radio station with this name or that name attached to it, then you have this thing where I might not believe it as much as them, because that's what we're used to seeing them putting out the news. And now, and I stated before, I don't say that you should listen to every alternative news station. Some of them actually don't know what they're talking about. But there are a lot of credible ones out there. And actually, these are the ones that are getting targeted now. People like Alex Jones, Hagmann, you name it, a couple others. They are they're the targets on them because they helped to push a movement. People like Zero Hedge, Lisa Haven, people like that, they helped to push a movement. And because people were fed up of what they were hearing, this one-sided deal, because here it is, even though a lot of us are asleep to the bigger picture, people are still not stupid, not that stupid anyway, really?
Exactly, to believe lies. To believe lies. And I want to say something too, Chris, is that Donald Trump, one of the things that he did go on Alex Jones. He did go on Alex Jones' show as an alternate media. And he did do an interview. Because whether we like it or not, those people are still Americans. Those people are still a part of the populace. So he did go on there. Again, I'll say I don't agree with everything that Alex Jones does.
Right.
But as the gentleman was campaigning, there are some things that he did that I really admired about him. He went into the black community. He went into the inner city. As a Republican, most people don't ever do that. So I applaud him for what he did. I applaud him for the stance he took. All of a sudden, now the women who said that he assaulted them and all this other things, they've all disappeared.
Yeah.
Why? How come? If that has happened to a woman, listen, she needs to stand up. She needs to let them know what's going on, and she needs to get some type of action taken. If this really happened, let us go all the way. Let us find out. Let us get some resolution. All of a sudden, it's gone quiet. I haven't seen or heard of anyone saying anything else about Mr. Trump.
I think a lot of that stuff was, it's just pawns they had in the back pocket to give allegations, and all of them were debunked. Some people were getting mad at Trump because of they didn't come to their videotaping of some restaurant thing. I can't remember the name of the person right now. But
there was one young lady, right?
Yeah,
one young lady,
and that's why she came out and but before that she was praising Trump. So which one is it? You're not going to praise somebody that touched you like that,
Exactly, inappropriately. So for the video that he or not video, but the audio that Mike that was caught with him saying those nasty things about women, and yes, it's wrong. Absolutely. Don't agree with that. Absolutely. But something that we also found out with the media too, Chris, is that if you take a stance on something here, take a stance on it all the way. Meaning, if one man does it and it's wrong, it's wrong. If the other man is doing it and it's wrong, it's wrong. Some of the things that never came up in the media, there are things that never came up. There are things that were never touched. They were never discussed. We saw them, but they never came up. One of the things that came up was Bill Clinton's illegitimate son. He has a son that looks like him, a young black male that looks like him. And the gentleman tells a story about some of the things that have happened to him in his life, and how this gentleman would use drugs with his mother, and his mom was a prostitute. He tells a story. The information is there. It never hit the media. It never did anything. The media that went and interviewed him, they interviewed him for about 15 minutes. However, that was it. He's asking for a DNA test. He's asked for everything, and they won't get it. They won't get it to him. That was one. The other was the other women who were sexually harassed by Bill Clinton. And most people say, well, he's not running for president. Well, Bill Clinton harassed the women. Put that aside. But then what also came up was that Hillary Clinton would blacklist these women. And, initially... But
she also helped to get them off.
Right. Well, she helped to get them off. But I also heard that, or we also saw, and this, how you know these things are true is not only that you hear it from these women, but we also heard the testimony of a gentleman that called himself the Fixer. And his job, his focus, was going around fixing issues that came up. And he talked about some of the things that he did. So this wasn't somebody that was a shadowy figure. He came out and told about the things that he did. And he's not the only one. There are several other men that came out and said what they did. So I'm saying all of this, Chris, to say that if we didn't see what happened last month in the election, how they took control of people's minds, they were able to take control of people's thoughts. They literally bombarded people with this election coverage. They bombarded people with who they were supposed to vote for. They bombarded people. And it wasn't just the regular media. You had The View that did certain things. You had, this was like you said, it was a conspiracy. It was the entire world, even up to the Pope said that. The French president said the same thing. Even they said there has not been another president in history that has campaigned as much as President Barack Obama campaigned for Hillary Clinton.
Right. It just shows you the power structure. It shows you the entire power structure. We've seen things this year that we've never seen before. Never in 30, 40 years. And a lot of hypocrisy too. You come out and say one thing, then next minute you got to turn your head and say another thing because it was fake news. Hello. Yep. But now we have the internet media companies trying to censor and stop people from. They're putting all sorts of things in place, people, on Facebook and Google, and we're going to get into some of that. But one thing I want to point out is, and you have to do your research on this, but if you look at somebody like Anderson Cooper, he interned at the CIA. Hello.
Yeah.
And the CIA has been proven to they dictate what comes out of Hollywood. Scripts have to go by them. And so they're inside the news media too. And so don't think of the CIA as just some military operation, and they're supposed to operate outside the country. Think about that.
They perform their biggest psyops right here.
Exactly.
Psychological operations right here. This is where this is the testing ground for psychological warfare right here on the populace. And now, like you said, the checks will be in place for the next time. So most assuredly, the person that's coming in will be the person that they want. So they're trying to pass the laws now that another person who is affluent like Donald Trump, who will use the same technique he did, flying around the country, having private events, renting stadiums, private events. These were all private events. Not only did the Democratic Party send out hustlers and thugs to beat people up, they incite riots. They did a lot of things, and no one has been arrested. Nobody has been charged. So, I mean, Chris, this is endless. This is endless.
Endless. Yeah.
Endless. The amount of filth, the amount of garbage that has been perpetrated. One of the gentlemen that was involved in that whole ordeal has been to the White House something like almost 100 times or something.
Oh no, 40 something times. But he goes there. He went there more than that. But he actually visited Obama like 40 something times.
Yeah, visited President Obama 40 something. So my question is like, where is being a right, upstanding person? How do you have them paying homeless people to go in and create havoc? And when these things are brought to the light, they're just dismissed. Oh, this gentleman, he's a liar from the beginning. He did this. He has been under investigation by Planned Parenthood for the videos that he was able to get out of Planned Parenthood to find out how they are using some of the babies and stuff like that. And these are some of the things that we got to really look at. We have to assess. We must assess what we're doing. But no one is interested in doing that. That's not the point. People are now looking at wrong and calling wrong right. And that is shocking to me. That is what is shocking to me.
And these are the days that we're living in, where things get flipped on their head. And of course, the Bible says, "Warn to those that call bitter sweet and sweet bitter." We're not supposed to go in this direction, because now we're inviting the judgment of God, whichever way it comes. And of course, later on, there's going to be a more serious judgment on the whole entire world.
Absolutely.
So now we have, it's just a thing where, who do we believe? That's the thing. See, things get so muddled, so muddy, that you start to, who do I believe? Who do I believe? And, as Christians, we have to count on the Holy Spirit to guide us in the truth. But at the same time, it's like people like to play mind tricks. A lot of this is just mind control. Mind control.
Exactly.
And, again, pushing the narrative, telling you what you need to believe.
Exactly. And since you talk about that, pushing the narrative. Here's another aspect of that, pushing that narrative. One of the things I saw was Amy Schumer, the comedian. There were several other actors and actresses that said, if he won, that they would leave the country. We don't see those people leaving.
Bye.
We don't see them back. I mean, I look and I am looking at these people and how she ridiculed a lot of people, saying that they can't. Amy Schumer won. She can't believe that a gentleman would vote for Trump. That's one. I was watching The View just the other day. Well, I don't watch The View. I was listening to some excerpts from The View, and when they're talking about wives should sort of don't make love to their husband because they voted for Trump. I mean, what are we coming to? What, as a nation, what are we coming to? And you know, I see these things, Chris, and it's alarming, man. I don't know what else to say. It's alarming.
Well, you know, I always say anything demonic is usually you can't understand it. So there's a spiritual function to all of this too. We can't necessarily point all of it out, but there's always a spiritual aspect, always a spiritual connection. And this is a movement. This is not something that's just going to easily go away. Now, remember, the globalists, call them who you want, but you can call them the establishment, New World Order, globalists, illuminati, whatever. The point is that there's somebody behind the scenes, a whole bunch of people. As far as I know, it's like 100,000 people or so, and they have a movement going on. And like we said before, it was almost thwarted. Of course, it's going to come back into light because it has to happen, but these people are running scared. Remember, it's more of us than there is of them.
Yep.
And so when the people start waking up, they have to give you a boogeyman. They have to give you someone to think about constantly. Before,
and that's what has to come now. We need a new boogeyman.
Right. And so before it was Al Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, and all those sort of people. But now it's the Russians. And, think about this, people. Think about it, right? And I'm not saying this was some prophecy or anything like that. I'm just saying to think. We talked about predictive programming on the last show. Think about this. For years, you've been getting movies that just make Russia look bad. And I'm not saying they're great or good or whatever. My point is, it's already in your brain that they're the bad guys. So if someone says, Russia hacked, Russia did this person is connected to Russia, you automatically think the bad guys. Why did the general come up on the media during the after the debates and said, Russia, we're going to take it seriously, and all these threats? Why? The public wasn't focused on Russia. The public was focused on the election. And so they try to give you a boogeyman to start paying attention to. And what are they doing right now today, over 2 months later? Russia. And we're going to talk about that some more. But, okay, so fake news, right? Here goes. I'm going to play 2 clips. This first one is MSNBC host. She lied about being at some party, and then she had to backtrack. I'm just showing you that what happens. Okay, here we go.
Later in the broadcast, this teleprompter reading piece of trash said this.
There you go. Earlier today in a oh, you know what? This is some serious business that I need to share. I need to apologize to the audience. Earlier today in a segment, I stated that the Fox Network held their holiday party at Trump's D.C. hotel. I was wrong. We've since learned that neither Fox Network nor an affiliate held any party at Trump's Washington hotel. I stand corrected. I apologize for the error. I am truly, truly sorry. The mistake entirely my fault. And of course, I wish all my friends over at Fox a very happy holiday, no matter where you have your party.
Oh, I'm sure she does. She even called the people at Fox News her friends, which is another lie. And of course, she was afraid to say Christmas party. She had to say holiday party. Got to be politically correct over there at MSNBC. You don't want to get fired for actually speaking the truth over there, do you?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? For you guys to think. Remember, we said that a lot of these things that these people are reading from the teleprompter is scripted. So for her to say that they were there, she didn't just rail that off like she didn't believe it. It was there on the teleprompter. But somebody had to basically let it out that that was a lie. And so guess what they have to do? Backtrack.
Yep.
And that's what's going on. And it happens all the time.
Chris, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
There was another one. Well, there's another clip I'm quite sure you have to play. But remember when Hillary Clinton came out and said, I think she went to Bosnia and she said she was under sniper fire and she had to run into the building. And somebody found the clip and played the clip and there's no sniper fire.
Yeah,
and
no
said,
sniper fire.
There was no sniper fire. She was greeting the kids, and she apologized and said, whatever happened. But this happens all the time. There was another newscaster. He did it. He said that the helicopter that he was flying in, it was shot down. And I'm looking at these people like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You know?
They're trying to make it seem more than what it is, and trying to amp you up to think, to go along with the story. And a lot of people buy into it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that buy into a lot of this garbage that's coming out of the mainstream media. And so we're on the topic of fake news, right? So now think about this, people. Before the election, you didn't hear the term fake news. At least you didn't hear it a lot, right? And right after the election, we were bombarded with it. It's a movement. So check out this compilation.
And lately, there's been a lot of coverage in the real news about the growing and booming business of creating fake news.
Fake news stories.
Fake news. So-called fake news. Fake news.
And fake news stories.
Fake news. Fake news does matter. When it's somebody in a very high-profile position.
Clearly fake news stories. Fake news websites. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. We do have problems. I think everybody feels it right now.
We are not serious about facts and what's true and what's not. And particularly in an age of social media where so many people are getting their information in sound bites and snippets off their phones.
Now realize what Obama is doing. He's playing some NLP tricks on y'all. I mean, realize he just pointed out people getting stuff off their phones. He pointed out social media. He's using power words to get you to think a certain way. When actually what he's saying is a lie, because a lot of the media companies are using actual reporters, real cameras, not a phone. Sometimes they use a phone. I mean, if I were in a place where, I need to just put this story out, I would use my phone. But they're not just using sound bites either. They're using articles. They show you the articles. They put the links to the articles. What is he talking about? So that's what's going on. It's just total manipulation of your mind, neural linguistic processing, NLP. It's a method to mind control you. Witchcraft, if you want to call it that. That's basically what it is. But the technical term is neuro-linguistic processing, okay? And it's actually very dangerous, but this stuff is being used on you a lot. They put these words in there to make you focus on the words, to change your mind toward the situation, to the narrative that they're trying to produce. So now, again, like I said, now you don't know what to believe. So they're telling you what to believe. Go to the mainstream media, get your news from only that. Everything else is fake news.
Yep. And you know, Chris, you said it right where you said the president is getting in on it. He not only did that because they lost the election. He's talking about that. He also put down Mrs. Clinton for not visiting Wisconsin. Various things. He did quite a number of different things to say that the reasons why they lost the election. So there's a lot of different things that's there. But like you said, the fake news is one of the major aspects of it.
Right. And, you know, okay, so this is from the Daily Caller, right? Which would be considered fake news. It says there, in what can be only described as a perfect case of irony, the New York Times aired a fake news ad in a story decrying fake news and the death of facts. The piece is an editorial called Truth and Lies in the Age of Trump. Now, I like to break things down for people. The title is Truth and Lies in the Age of Trump. Really what your mind is going to be focused on is lies in the age of Trump. That's what your mind is going to be focused on. And it says it was published Saturday. New York Times editorial board discussed the decay of facts in a Walter Cronkite-less era dominated by truth spinners like President-elect Donald Trump. You see, smack dab in the middle of this piece, lamenting the end of reliable news, was a fake news story claiming Alec Baldwin was dead at 58. Gizmodo Media Group executive editor John Cook took a screenshot of the ad and posted it on Twitter December 10th. And, of course, I can see it there. It's in the middle of what they're trying to post. And so now the New York Times editorial board member Jesse Wagman and senior staff editor Michael Roston both replied to Cook's tweet that Saturday and Sunday. They said, "Hey John, did that appear on a phone or something else?" And he said iPhone. And the other person tuned in, Roston, "I've reported this internally. Thanks for flagging it. Wish you didn't have to." Now, just hearing that, you would think this probably was a one-time event, right? Okay. Not. It says here, this isn't the first time the Time has had this problem. It occurred enough to warrant a November 23rd piece by public editor Liz Spayed titled Condemning Fake News but Running Fake News Ads. It says, a quote here, "How could such fraudulent content wind up on the Times website through something called programmatic advertising?" Spayed explained, "Both the Times newsroom and its advertising department have rules that forbid false, misleading, or otherwise worrisome ads from appearing on the site. But it is difficult to apply those rules when computers are serving up the ads automatically." She then said not to worry about the Times because compared to Facebook, it's a brook of fake news, not an ocean. As measured by sheer impact, there is no comparison between a handful of fake news ads and the Times website and an endless gush of fake news stories that get shared by millions of on Facebook. One is a brook, the other is ocean. But again, you're playing games. You're playing games.
Of course. Of course. And, you know, I just can't say it enough how we see a lot of these things are coming down actually from the media circles that are supposed to be filtering the stuff and putting out the correct news. I remember when Hillary Clinton passed out,
Yeah.
Or we don't know. We don't know what transpired. We just knew that she looked like she was losing it, and they threw her into a van. So we don't know what transpired there, but what we do know is that one outlet said that she was dead, and that wasn't true neither. But
Right. Right.
So you raise a valid point when you say that we need to. The person writing the article say, "Hey, the news needs to be filtered. It needs to be looked at." But a lot of these things are coming from right smack in the middle of those places, and yes, Facebook is there, and there have been several people that have gone and done things on Facebook that are not necessarily true. And you know what? While we were talking about fake news, Chris, some of the things that we have to touch on too is some of these guys that have gotten shot by police officers. That the one that the wife said, and I got to say this before I even start. It's unfortunate when somebody gets shot by an officer and dies. It's unfortunate when the officer lies about it. It's unfortunate when the other party lie about the information. And we see a lot of that going on today. However, I've seen one where the officer lied. I think it was in North Carolina where he said the man took his taser. That's unfortunate. That was a lie. The other one I saw was when the wife called the cops and said, "Don't do it, honey, don't do it." But the man had a gun on him. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Oh, the officer shot my husband. The officer shot my husband. He didn't have any gun on him," only to find out this man was reaching for a gun.
Yeah.
So, now the news medias don't come back when they give you the wrong news in those instances where thousands of people have gone out and protest and break windows and doors and beat people up and all the other stuff. They don't come out and say, we need to apologize for what we did. Why don't they do that? They're the ones that are pushing that. And we find out weeks later that the gentleman, oh yeah, he have a gun. Or you know what I'm saying? How come they don't apologize for what they're putting forth? It's wrong.
Sorry. So they've already lost a lot of their credibility, right? And so they're going to lose more credibility. And listen, the articles I have up here to read, some of it is hilarious in a way that's not funny, These people, they want to start. Now there was an internet company that wants to start banning certain websites, and of course Google is on board. And Reddit is starting to shadow ban certain outlets. Mm-hmm. So it'll be harder and harder for you to get the news. But here's one of the powerful things. You don't necessarily have to go through Google. Google is the biggest search engine, but they're not the only search engine. And you don't have to use Yahoo. You don't have to use Yahoo. You don't have to use Microsoft. There are other search engines like startpage.com that doesn't track everything that you do like Google does and the other ones. You could find what you need to by through those. I think DuckDuckGo is another one.
Right. Dogpile.
Yeah, you can get rid of your Chrome browser and use Dolphin, at least on your iPad, not iPads, but your tablets and your phones. So this is what we tend to do, and I do it too. I'll go to say, a restaurant, eat some good food, and that's the restaurant I continue to go to. I don't check out the 5 other ones. I go to a grocery store, and since that grocery store had the best bargains, I kept going to that grocery store, but there were 3 others around that were giving great deals too. That's how we do things, But now, with this news, the information, and again, be careful. Be careful with mainstream media. Be careful with alternative media. Some people out there are not telling the truth, okay?
Absolutely.
And coming up with bogus claims, adding on to what is reality, So be careful on both sides. And what's funny, too, remember, Rory, when this was, I think, during the election, remember how many news stories we were getting, and it would be hours later or a day or 2 later before it would really break in the mainstream?
Yes. I remember that. And that's what people don't understand, is that, yes, during the election, through our sources, we would get news. I remember one time I got news 4 days ahead. 4 days ahead of the populace. And I said, hey, this is coming out. Wait until next week. And people are like, well, what are you talking about? I left it alone. And I came back the following week. I'm like, here you go. And they were like, oh, okay. And
Hello, can't hear you.
These are the things that I'm sorry. Is that better now?
Yeah, go ahead. Hello. I think you're dropping out, buddy. Okay. Well, I guess Rory has a bad connection right now, so I will continue. So the Facebook here on InfoWars, it says Facebook decides to what's real versus fake news for users. Company working to censor alternative information from users. Now, remember, I think a week or 2 ago, something like that, the Facebook employees, they started to hand in resignations because of the stuff going on in the background to censor people unfairly. There's a type of censorship that's kind of good. You don't want really damaging, really bad information to get out and hurt people. But Facebook is just doing it in a one-sided way. And so right now, Facebook they're trying to use some far-leaning companies to do some of the censorship. And one of them is Snopes. Now, let me explain to you what a lot of people go to Snopes and they think that everything on there that's debunked is really debunked, but it's not. Snopes is not some sort of company that is ran, by peers that can review everything that they're so-called debunking, right? Snopes is run by a man and a woman that lives with their cat. Okay? That's it. Just those 2 people. And it says here, Snopes.com has been considered the tell-all final word on any comment, claim, and email. Once negative articles by them and people point and say, see, I told you it wasn't true. But what is Snopes? What are their methods of training that gives them the authority to decide what is true and what is not? For several years, people have tried to find out who exactly was behind this website, Snopes.com. Only recently did they get to the bottom of it. It says here, are you ready for this? It's run by a husband and wife team. That's right, no big office of investigators storing public records in Washington. No researchers studying historical stacks in libraries. No team of lawyers researching the consensus on current case law. No, Snopes.com is just a mom-and-pop operation that was started by two people who have absolutely no formal background or experience in investigative research. And I guess I'll stop right there. Rory?
Yeah, well, hey, they'll be bought out soon because once the powers that be see that these people have a following,
right,
they will buy the company. But it goes to show you that people don't want the truth; they just want the answer.
Right, quick too, very quickly.
Exactly. They just want the answer. I heard this gentleman, what was his name now? Denzel Washington say something the other day, and I'm going to paraphrase in my own words. He says, "Hey, for this, the lady was asking, or the person was asking him about fake news, and he says, for this reason, people need to read the newspaper. That's the reason they really need to read the newspaper. And if you're reading the newspaper, you're a fool.
You're an informed fool."
Or informed fool, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So basically, people, what he was saying there, you need to read and formulate your own opinion. Don't just take the what you see in the paper, but you need to formulate your own opinion. Today, people will see something, a video, whatever it is, and they take it as the gospel and they run with it.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. Snoops. Look how long it took them to, or whatever it's called, Snoops, Snump, whatever. It's only run by a husband and wife, and they have a cat. And they sit down all day long and say, "Oh, we got to check out another one. Let's go see what's going on here and see what people say." It doesn't have to be the truth. And again, Denzel Washington said, people in the news, they don't want to tell the truth. All they want to do is be the first one to say something.
Right.
That's the most important thing today. Nobody's fact-checking. Nobody's doing anything. That's it. Earlier in our conversation, Chris, you brought up Anderson Cooper, and where he did his internship. And I remember he was being interviewed by one of the ladies who was harassed by Bill Clinton. And the lady said something to the effect, if I remember correctly, the lady said, "You don't talk about any of these things. You've never interviewed any of the..." No, the lady said, "The information is there. The information is there about these women." And Anderson Cooper says, "No, it has never been. We have never verified it here on CNN." And someone went behind and was able to find out all the information that at one point in time CNN had aired about the allegations from these women. And I looked at that and I said, wow, you see, you have to formulate your own opinion. You have to do your own investigation. You have to be the one that reads. And that's why I look at people and I'll say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you some information. But you know what? Don't believe anything I say. Go and do your own research. And this is something that we say all the time on this show. Go and look for yourself. Spend some time and go find out the information. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you how to do it. Go and pray. Ask the Lord. And He will lead you and guide you.
Yeah.
And you will know.
Yeah. So going back to the Facebook thing, right? I'm going to go to the Breitbart article, and it says Facebook to label fake news with help of partisan fact checkers. Facebook has announced it will introduce warning labels on stories that they deem to be fake news with the help of partisan fact checking organizations such as Snopes and PolitiFact. Stories deemed to be false will now be flagged by Facebook with a accompanying red label claiming the story is disputed by third-party fact checkers. Users, you see, right back to where you were talking about, Rory, your own opinion. So they're going to have these fact checkers, quote unquote, that have formulated an opinion about what's fact, not necessarily giving you facts. See how confusing that is? It's just that I've been on Snopes before, and I've read some things that I knew were 100% true, and they said it was false. So anybody that's uninformed will go there and say, "Oh, there it is. Can't be true," you know. So anyway, users will then have the option to learn why this is disputed to receive an explanation as to why Facebook believe the story is false. And quote here, we'll use the reports from our community along with other signals to send stories to organizations, as Facebook VP admin Mazari, I think that's how you pronounce it, wrote in the Facebook news blog. If the fact-checking organizations identify a story as fake, it will be flagged as disputed, and there will be a link to the corresponding article explaining why. Were you there? Oh, okay. Hey, hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, did you hear what I yeah. You know what I just read?
No, sir.
Well, basically, Facebook is basically flagging what they deem to be fake news, and these people will be the ones behind it. So this goes into also the Orwellian conspiracy or Orwellian nightmares, as some people call it, where the technocracy that's slowly building, well, actually it's rapidly building, will tell you how to think, tell you how to act, tell you how to walk and talk, and if you don't go with the narrative, you will become an enemy of the state, whatever state it is, whatever country. These are the type of realities coming to us. New World Order. You know, 30 years ago, we wouldn't think like this. We wouldn't think of it as a soon-to-be reality, like around the corner. You know, and that's what's happening. You know, Google and Facebook and a couple other companies, their seed money was the CIA. It's fact. You can't go around it.
But and the other thing is, from the emails, we also found out that all the CEOs of Facebook, Google, all these huge companies had meetings with the Clintons, I think twice a month. I think something like that, twice a month. They would have meetings to plan and strategize. And fake news again, Chris. One of the things we learned about Google is you could not look up any bad information on Mrs. Clinton.
Right.
Because
right.
they deemed that as fake news. So you weren't able to get information on that. So they were cleaning your thoughts or cleansing your thoughts. So if you would try to look it up, you wouldn't find that. You'd only find the good things. So
exactly. Wait.
These are some of the things.
Wait. Hold on. Before you go, that what you just said, I need to put it in a certain way. Cleansing your thoughts.
Yeah.
You see, let me explain something, people. Anytime you get on that keyboard and data enter what you want to search in Google or any other search engine, you are telling them what you are thinking.
Exactly.
And so what Rory just said is very important because, okay, we have suggestions that come up while you're typing. And in some search engines, they do a fair prediction of what you might be looking for. But Google controls the narrative so much that they were working with the DNC to stop you from seeing anything bad about Clinton. If you wanted to see it, you would have to type it in correctly.
Yeah.
And we show this in another show, and how when you went from Google to Bing would give you the right results.
Yeah.
It's not that they're the good guys; they just didn't manipulate it. So I was just saying that's important. That what you just said, Roy. Just wanted to break it down a little bit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. And the other thing is, you talk about your thoughts. You're writing out your thoughts. Writing out your thoughts. It's connected with Facebook. It's connected with WhatsApp. It's connected with YouTube. Everything. Everything is.
Yeah.
It's coming together very well.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, you won't have the freedom to choose somewhere else, because these are owned by very specific companies, and these companies are going after AI, artificial intelligence, really fast and hard.
Yeah. And most people don't know that Google owns 1 million square feet at NASA. And I don't even know if that is a higher number now, but at the time it was 1 million square feet. Think about that at NASA. So they're getting into everything. And Facebook and Google are putting drones and balloons around the world to get everyone connected to the internet. You see,
everybody
the internet
needs to have internet access.
Yeah, the internet will be the global brain. The AI will feed off of the global brain. And I know some of you out there are like, oh, come on, Chris, really? All I could say, listen. And we're going to do a show about AI in a few months. And what the stuff that we have, to show you, you have no idea. No idea. You look up Watson. Look up Google's artificial intelligence. Look up Google's artificial intelligence dreaming. You say, how can it dream? Well, this is going to be an autonomous what's the term, Roy? Self-aware virtual organism, or some people, you could dub it Skynet if you want to. There is actually a Skynet already in place. I didn't make it up. It's out there. You have so many powerful AIs right now that we don't even know which one, if it won't be a network. Instead of one AI that's all powerful, it could be a network of powerful AIs. We don't know. But it's on the horizon. And, we had, me and Rory and somebody else had a conversation the other day, and I was explaining, sometimes, because I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I go there, I promote Don't Let Them Burn, some Christian stuff, and I leave. And sometimes you have a problem with somebody. You want to say something, but you don't know how to say it. And the first thing that pops up in your brain is that Facebook screen. So that becomes your reality. What can I put on Facebook? What can I say to them on Twitter? What can I say to annoy them or make them think about how I'm feeling, or whatever the case is, So your perception is warped by these virtual social platforms or games, or we can go on and on about that, but let me digress and go back to the subject. All right, so here on this one is called, I'm going to read from 3 different articles. Okay, so remember, President Obama, Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein came out and talking about he wants to open up an investigation with the CIA about the elections, right? So, and this one is from OccupyDemocrats.com, and it said the title is CIA, Russians hacked Republican National Committee emails, anything. It says here the CIA revealed a bombshell today which points the finger at Russia for using hacking to favor Republican Donald Trump over Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton. And in this year's election, an important part of the CIA's explosive conclusion is this chilling fact: Russia hacked the Republican National Committee but didn't leak any of the emails to WikiLeaks. Now, before I go on, WikiLeaks already came out and said the Russians are not our source. Somebody's lying. Right.
But Julian Assange has been around for a long time.
Right.
And whenever he tells you something, it's the truth. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't
it's been gold.
Every single time, what he has said has been precise.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They're the ones that are spinning the information.
Yeah. And so it goes on and says, preferring to only distribute 200 Republican emails to DCleaks.com and sitting on the rest. It says here, if the Russians' real goal was discrediting democracy by hurting both parties equally, they'd have released both parties' emails. Instead, Putin held Republican emails and only released Democratic emails, which didn't contain any bombshells, but whose daily revelations still influence public opinion massively. The New York Times report sheds light on the detail. So anyway, I'm going to stop right there for a second, because I really don't have to read more, because you see the narrative that's about to be formed, right? So that's a liberal website. And then townhall.com reports FBI, CIA not on the same page about Russian hacking, maybe because the evidence about Russia helping Trump is not sustained. Contrary to claims made by Democrats and about Russian interference helping President-elect Donald Trump, there is no definitive proof that the Kremlin ordered such cyber attacks. It's all based on circumstantial evidence, innuendo, and anonymous sources that are bound by an apparent interagency feud between the CIA and the FBI. On December 10th, the Washington Post reports that both agencies were not on the same page, which seemed to have angered Democrats. Of course, they're always angry about something. But it says here, sitting before the House Intelligence Committee was a senior FBI counterintelligence officer. The question the Republicans and Democrats in attendance wanted answered was whether the Bureau concurred the conclusion that the CIA had just shared with senators that Russia quite clearly intended to help Republican Donald Trump defeat Democrat Hillary Clinton and clinch the White House. For the Democrats in the room, the FBI's response was frustrating and even shocking. During a similar sentence Intelligence Committee briefing held the previous week, the CIA statement, as reflected in the letter the lawmaker now held in their hands, were, quote, direct and bald and unqualified, unquote, about Russia's intentions to help Trump, according to one of the officials who attended the House briefing. And it goes down and it says, the competing message, according to the officials in attendance, also reflect culture differences between the FBI and the CIA. The Bureau, true to its law enforcement roots, wants facts and tangible evidence to prove something beyond all reasonable doubt. The CIA is more comfortable drawing inferences from behavior. And it goes on and on. So anything to say before I go to the next one, Rory?
Well, some of the other things that people didn't know that what was going on is that before the election, Russia had made some military moves that were quite concerning to the United States because of some of these allegations that were made.
Right.
You know, based off of these allegations, I'm not saying again that Russia is holier than thou. But I'm saying that we actually need to be careful about the things that we're saying. You know.
Here's just a historical fact, people. War generates money. War generates money. The bottom line for World War I, money. The bottom line for World War II, money. All of these wars that you see, look how long America has been in wars since Vietnam. We're continually at war. It doesn't look like it because it's not on our soil. Now, whatever the reasons for the war,
look at Syria today.
Yeah, I'm not going to contend the reasons, you know, but money, oil, gems, all sorts of things going on, and it's so much to cover. And like you said, Syria is serious. Look at what happens to it in the Bible. Destroyed, right? At least Damascus is, right?
That's coming.
Right. Yeah.
And
so
everybody's talking about. Look at the countries that we have been involved in. Let's look at those countries: Afghanistan, Syria, Egypt, Iraq, Iran. Well, Iraq. It's amazing to see what's going on and how people, because of what we have done, people have left those countries and now they're coming here to spread their propaganda here, and they're a mess.
Yeah. And so here goes another. I think this is a bombshell. This is from SputnikNews.com, so it's a Russian news site. And the headline is, former CIA analyst, Russian hacking allegations of U.S. election don't add up. Right? And it says here, the Central Intelligence Agency has claimed that Russia interfered in the U.S. election to help President-elect Trump win. But one of their former officers has detailed why the agency claims do not add up. Speaking to Brian Becker on Sputnik Radio's program, Loud and Clear, former CIA analyst Ray McGovern asserted that it appears that the email releases from the Democratic Party are not hacks but leaks. And quote, he says, today they are talking about having overwhelming circumstantial evidence. Now we have overwhelming technical evidence. We have the former technical director of the National Security Agency that tells us that this is really just drivel. McGovern said of Bill Binney, a former highly placed intelligence officer with the NSA, turned whistleblower. This is really just an operation to blacken the Russians and to blame the defeat of Hillary Clinton on the Russians. Isn't that what I just said, like, half an hour ago? And it says McGovern explained that global communications are collected either through the NSA or an intelligence operation of one of our allies. Now, here's one of the key points, right? And he said, why do you say that? Well, the NSA has the capability and uses it all the time to find out who is sending the emails to whom, he said. Can they do that? In all cases, the answer is yes, they can. So everything is collected. It's like a dragnet. Everything on this planet is collected, and if it's not within this country, we have our allies, the Five Eyes, and 7 or 8 other corporative intelligence services that pick up where we left off. Now, this is the whole thing.
Chris.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things that people, if they don't know, if they don't do their research, they will never know.
Yeah.
There was a young Democratic operative, or I don't know who he was. He worked for the DNC. He was shot 5 times in the back in Washington, D.C. Julian Assange comes out and he says, hey, we're offering, I can't remember the amount of money, probably like $3,000 or $5,000 for anyone who could give information that this young man was, who killed this young man. I found that to be quite interesting that he said that.
Yeah.
But this young man was shot 5 or 6 times in the back, and that was it. It's done. In Washington, D.C., it was a safe zone. I think a gun-free zone or something like that. I don't know. And nothing was ever said about that. No one looked into it. But what most people don't understand, those emails, they didn't come from Russia. They came from right out of the DNC. They came from right in the DNC. Someone in the DNC was leaking all that information. That was too clean to be coming from Russia. Too clean. When they would just release the, there are so many things that were going on. It was like the FBI at one point was trying to play catch up because they look so bad that the people on the outside are saying, "Hey, tomorrow we're gonna release another 50,000 emails," and they're like, we were scrambling to try to decipher what's going. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to what this guy just said, I mean, the paragraph that I just read, the last paragraph, tells you what's going on. If you don't believe when people tell you everything you do is being collected.
Exactly.
It's not far-fetched, people. I mean, this is a ex-CIA analyst just letting you know that it's not just them, it's not just the NSA. He hasn't even named the groups, but he's telling you that there are other allies in other countries and other cooperative agencies. You know, you look at MI6 and all these people. Listen, for them not to know, or let me back that up. For them to say or assert that the Russians hacked, they would have known. They would have known.
And there's been no conclusive evidence of this. None whatsoever.
Yeah. And then you have China coming out and telling us we need to control our media. Who are you, China? You see, China's buying up Hollywood. Most of our debt is owed to China. And I guess they think they could dictate to us Americans what to do. Telling us we need to control our media outlets, our news, and what's coming out, whatever. You know, that don't fly with me. But it says, this is from CNBC, one of the fake news networks. It says, China on U.S. fake news debate, who we told you so. It says the Chinese state media is weighing in on the fake news debate in the U.S., saying the controversy and its possible impact on the election outcome only serves to bolster Beijing's case when it comes to controlling the internet. And so this is from November 22nd. So this is after election. So in an editorial entitled Western Media Crusade Against Facebook, Communist Party paper The Global Times drew parallels with China's fight a few years ago to clamp down on what Beijing at the time called rumors, but what many in the West worried was political dissent. So this is a quote: "So long as the mainstream media is free and open, online rumors would do no harm in the big picture." Argument from the West, and the Times Act pointing out that it sees a contradiction in the West's criticism of, at the time, that Beijing's crackdown limited freedom of speech. It said the U.S. can no longer play this card. Well, well, here it is. You know, when you look at Zuckerberg, Facebook dude, owner, he was it Angela Merkel he was sitting with, Rory?
I am not sure.
Well, he was at some function with a lady, somebody that's, you know, quote unquote important, and it was caught on a mic, her asking him what's going on with the censorship, and he's like, he's working on it.
Good.
So, you know, these are the things that, you know, some people don't get right away. What's coming? What it might not be next week. Donald Trump isn't in office yet. We don't know what he will change and what he won't change. We only know what he said he would change. But if it doesn't happen during
or even
his term,
what President Obama will try to do before he goes in office.
Yeah.
Because he's moving now.
Yeah, he's really ramping it up. You have YouTube, which is owned by Google now. They started out independent, but of course, you know, they get bought out. And YouTube came out with something called YouTube Heroes. That's their censorship police. And not only that, right? They have bots that flag content. So there we go with sort of an AI sort of thing, right? These bots, if you use certain words, they flag your content and you get demonetized. That's just the first step. And then, you know, whatever happens after that, then you get, you know, totally taken off of YouTube. Now, realize that YouTube is the biggest social media video outlet out there. They have the best platform, the best options, and people can argue that, but I've looked into other options. Trust me. And you don't get the sort of leverage that you have for putting out content. I remember when YouTube used to be only 15 minutes per video, and then the only way you put up a hour long or 45 minutes or 2 hours or more, you would have to have a director's account. And now everyone could put up a 2-hour video, you know. But the thing is, when you start to talk about controversial issues like immigration and homosexuality and, you know, whatever the case may be, they flag you.
You're being watched.
And they'll drop it down. They'll drop it to where you can only put 5 minutes up or 15 minutes. I've seen they've censored True News. That's a Christian outlet, and they got censored. So they upload a little piece of the show, and then you have to go to their website. And realistically, no one really wants to go to the other website unless they really want that news, you know? So these are the things that we're talking about, people, when we talk about the global conspiracy. This is not just in America. This is there. When you talk about Facebook and YouTube, all these, Twitter is censoring hard, and what they're doing, say for instance, they had people out there that threatened Donald Trump, literally threatened him. They didn't get taken down. They didn't get censored, but people that were doing things, talking about Americana and some good things, they got censored. Anyone that talks against Clinton, a lot of them got censored, post deleted, losing their account. Same thing on Facebook. And so now you have to go to an alternate source because, listen, Twitter did not make the internet. Twitter did not become successful on their own. They got successful off of the people. So did YouTube. So did Facebook. There are other alternatives. There's Blab. There's Scene.life, which looks just like Facebook, operates just like it too. But you're able to talk. And there are other ones out there too, Minds.com. So people are looking for ways to talk. And we're not talking about just Christians. They're just people that don't want to be censored.
Yep.
And being told what you could say when you could say it. These are the times that we're living in. Because, again, it wasn't so easy to get your voice out. Now, whether it's good or bad, it wasn't as easy before. But these are the things that we're dealing with. And they're coming at people hard. So it's just like a mafioso gangster mentality. Shut up and don't say anything. Go read the old books by Huxley and stuff like 1984, and you're going to see these sort of environments in those books. You're going to see what
controlling thinking.
Yeah, these panels. Yeah, these people were on panels.
War of the Worlds was the first one that was done by George Orwell. That's what you're talking about.
George Orwell and what's the other guy, man? He made Time Machine. Oh my goodness.
I can't remember his name.
I'll tell you in 1 second because it's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh my goodness. H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells, yes.
H.G. Wells. These people were part of a think tank.
Oh yes.
So
they were doing things far before their time. War of the Worlds was one of them that they started looking at how they could make people be fearful of. That's when
aliens.
They ran the first test about aliens on people, and people fell for it. People committed suicide.
Yeah.
Because of what they heard on the radio.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about the New World Order and basically the thought police and the AI and all these things are not far-fetched. They're not that far-fetched. They've done this. They've run the PSYOPs before using radio. Now they're running the PSYOPs using the internet. They have many different venues now. Oh, I'm tired of that. Let me turn off the TV. Oh, you go to the computer. Oh, snap. Oh, it's the same thing, or it's a little different. The media changed. Oh, let me turn that off and go to my phone. Oh, okay. But in other words, they're going to get it to you now. But now it is so saturated, Chris, that you'll turn all of those instruments off, and you'll talk to somebody, and they'll still tell you what the media just said.
Right.
They will regurgitate quite quickly what they heard.
Yeah.
You know, and go ahead.
I've talked to people, not trying to persuade them or get them on Trump's side or anything like that. I just ask the question. So, why don't you like Trump? I just don't like him. Okay, can you give me another reason? They can't give me another reason. And if they do give me another reason, it's that same thing about the hot mic and how he hates women.
That's been pushed, and how he hates women and he degrades women. And it's amazing to see what the psychological operations that will run on people. Yeah. They can't even tell. And then at the end of the psychological operation, they look at Trump and say, I think he really needs to apologize to the country because he divided it. What? How did he divide the country? He didn't divide the country. You guys were the one who need to apologize. The news media needs to apologize. The news media needs to apologize to Black Lives Matter for letting them think things are going on and pushing forth the story that's wrong. you know, that they have lied to people continually.
Yep.
And people believe it. There's somebody out there tonight that's still protesting. And you ask them what they're protesting for, they can't even tell you.
Yeah.
They don't even know.
Yep. I remember during the protest, this one lady, I can't tell, I think she might have been Hispanic. She said, "There has to be blood. There'll be blood." And I'm like, you guys are calling for violence? Really? Really? That spiritual aspect is there, and it's so dangerous. So dangerous. Why would you call for blood? We, you know, when I never ever liked Obama. And when he won, I wasn't in an uproar. I didn't want to go riot. I wasn't calling for blood. People are so, the psyops is real.
Yeah.
And if you guys pick up a book called Behold a Pale Horse, and you're going to read about, I think it's silent weapons for quiet wars. You're going to read about concepts like that. And the guy that wrote the book, I can't remember his name right now, oh my goodness, but he was out of the military, and he saw some things, and he tried to awaken the people at the time, and he died. I think early 2000s somewhere he died. They finally got him, killed him. But the thing is that you're always being operated on somehow, and a lot of it is not. It's just not obvious. But when you start to wake up and see the disinformation, the things that are going on globally, we are in a war spiritually. We are at a place where I would hear about and sometimes read about back in the early 90s, late 80s. I knew that I had a feeling it would come in my lifetime, but the thing is that you don't know how it's going to come about. And to see all of these things coming together, the control of your thoughts, the control of your monetary system, your political system, everything. It's just coming together for this one world government, one world religion. And these are the things that are going on. And in this day, we're in 2016. And folks, when we get to do another show on technology, when I'm not even talking about artificial intelligence yet, I'm talking about just surveillance society. We have some news to let out on you. We have some news about quantum computing. There's the black slime that's being found all over the place. That's nothing new. The black slime was in books, video games. So, and now it's being, you've seen it in reality now. Antarctica. What's going on? What's going on in Antarctica? Why are officials, presidents, folks going down there? Why? Mysteries. These are the mysteries. You know, when you say mystery Babylon, there's a mystery behind the veil. There's something there that we can't figure out because we don't have all the information. But it's guaranteed that the Word of God has told us a lot of things. We don't have to have all the information. The Word of God has told us these times would come. So it's time to start paying attention. Go ahead, Roy. Roy?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Yeah, I said go ahead.
Oh, Chris, what you talked about earlier on about Antarctica, things that these men are pushing in our society today. we spent some time looking at fake news and its impact that it has on society. We didn't even get to touch on Pizzagate. And I think might want to touch on that, Pizzagate. Let me tell you, everything that you see in the media, don't believe it. It's not necessarily true. We're finding out more and more that some of these news, and I'm not sure of this, but I'm just going to say it. Sometimes these news scenes are also staged to look a certain way. CNN has been caught lying about certain things. Other news media have been caught. Look, I don't know if there's a pedophile ring going on. I don't know if all these things that are happening. I don't know. But one thing I know, and it's this. The Bible says for us to shun the very appearance of evil. Evil is evil, regardless. You have people that are saying they're doing spirit cooking. They're doing all these things that are not necessarily the usual. If we're going out to a dinner party or something, we go to a dinner party. But spirit cooking, things of that nature where Jay-Z and those people are there and this woman is supposed to be world-renowned and the things that she's painting and doing involves children and pig's blood. That's not like going to your local 7-Eleven or going out to have a bite to eat. Something's not right about that.
Yeah. Well, here, I was going to say very quickly, there was a news company that was found doing fake news. They set up in front of what seemed like it was a murder scene, a crime scene, and they had the police tape right behind them. And what was supposed to be the actual scene, well, people that were actually there took photos on their camera, and it showed that it was fake police tape on something to hang it up and an empty lot behind them. It wasn't even the real site. Fake news. And now Breitbart reports the New York Times just hired to cover the Trump White House. The New York Times just hired to cover the Trump White House the political reporter busted by WikiLeaks for allowing Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta to vet an article about the candidate. Quote, because I have become a hack, I will send you the whole section that pertains to you. Glenn Thrush emailed John Podesta. Please don't share or tell anyone I did this. Tell me if I effed up anything. He surely did in asking a partisan to review his work for accuracy. The request for secrecy in a profession dedicated to transparency indicated he knew as much. And the article goes on. But here's the thing. They hired him to cover. So he's not even a trustworthy person. Fake news.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have 5 minutes left, Rory. I just want to tell everybody out there, well, first, thanks for listening and joining us. I hope that you got some insight from this. And whether you agree with this conversation or not, you should still do your own research.
Yep. Absolutely.
And definitely turn to the Word of God. If you're not saved, this is the time. Jesus Christ came, and it's true, not fake news, not a Christian conspiracy, not a Jewish conspiracy. He came, he died, rose on the third day for your soul. He loved the world, and he gave his only begotten Son for you. So Jesus Christ is God in the flesh, 100% man, 100% human, and he's just waiting on you. No one comes to the Lord unless he's called. So hopefully he's calling you tonight. You're hearing this voice, and we just want to implore you that this is the best decision that you can make in your life. It's just to bow and knee to Jesus Christ. Anything else, Rory? 3 minutes left. Hello, Rory?
Yeah, man, I'm here. Sorry about that. I just want to say to everyone, like Chris said, check out the things that we're saying. Go and look for yourself. There are so many other things that we could also talk about. So many things that need to be said that we could go over and talk about. But you got the most important part tonight, the main part. Look for yourself. Listen. Jesus is real. Jesus came. He came and died for your sins that you couldn't even pay for. He came because he never needed to die. He was perfect. But he died on the cross for our sins that we could be grafted in. And you might say, well, I just don't know. Ask the Lord, and he will reveal himself to you. And he always does. I'm just praying for everybody out there that they come to the understanding of who Jesus Christ is for themselves. It's a win-win proposition. God
Amen.
is waiting. He says, Jesus says, I stand at the door and I knock. He's not going to force the door in. He's knocking. He's waiting for you to grant him the entrance. And, you know, that's what I have to say. Seek him while he may be found. Because there's going to come a day where you can't seek him. There is coming a day, and we are a day closer to that day where we will not be able to seek him. So have your calling and election sure. Jesus is coming back. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't let them burn. Chris and Rory, good night.